Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. And welcome to the first in a very sporadic, random, haphazard series of videos about folklore, myths and legends. Yeah. And I love these things. We all love these things. These stories of yore from around the world have shaped culture, belief systems, and for us guys, primarily, they've made movies and stories and books out of these, which we all know and love. So, and there are gazillions of them. Now, how this came about, I was sitting in the pub, oh, quelle surprise, and Sandy, one of the most fabulous, pure MILF barmaids I've ever met in my life, came and sat with me, and she went, "Oh, I've been away for the weekend and went to Wales, North Wales, aye, which is just as the crow flies, literally about 5 miles that way over there." And she went, "Oh, we went to Betsy Coward, Morford Buchan. These are places that I went to as a kid and have been to since, and they're locations which are idyllic, scenic, gorgeous. Very often wet, rainy and windswept. But hey, so it goes. With mountains, you have rainfall. And we have the Snowdonia mountain range. The national park, Snowdonia, is just over there. Again, as I say. And a lot of these towns and villages and places lurk within the lee of the mountains of Snowdonia. And you've got Mount Snowdon there, of course. Many legends have taken root there and grown and drawn in tourists. And anyway, so we went to a little place called Gelert, and I went, "Oh, Gelert, I know where that is. Been there many times." And there was a statue of a dog. Oh, it was lovely. It was so moving. I said, "Well, did you learn the legend of Gelert?" And she went, "Well, no." Which I find kind of strange, because the legend's written pretty much all over the little village of Gelert, but they didn't do it. They'd had fun, and they went there on the way back. Just stopped in and saw it. So I then told her what I'm going to tell you now. I told her the story, the legend of Gelert, why it's called Gelert, and what happened there, supposedly. And in the telling of this tale, my mate Mike, who's ex-SAS, yes, and he doesn't mind you knowing it, because he'll tell anybody. And he's not a Walter Mitty, he's genuine. And he likes to get his photos out and show, oh God, yeah. And he went, "Look, I heard you talking about Gelert there. You know, it's actually pronounced Beth Gelert." Oh God, here we go. "Mike, you're not from Wales, you're from Bradford, so don't give us this." And then he sat down. He said, "Do you mind if I join you?" He's dead polite like that. He always says, "Do you mind if I join you?" Every time I see him, and I saw him even just before doing this video today, because this video was due a few days ago, and he always says, "Do you mind if I join you?" And you go, "Well, you haven't got a fucking choice, have you? I mean, you're SAS, for fuck's sake, you know." And and he sits down, and then with me and Sandy, who's the barmaid, it wasn't busy. She was sitting down, and I just regaled the tale of Gelert to her. And he then sat down and then proceeded to tell us both the tale of Gelert all over again. And I was kind of like, you know, Mike, I've just told her, so we know the story. But his big thing was like, "Well, you don't pronounce it Gelert, it's Beth Gelert." And okay, fine, yeah, brilliant. But it put me into thinking about myths, legends, stories that have been handed down generation after generation after generation. And the thing about legends and myths is that there's a grain, a little kernel of truth in there somewhere, a germ of truth. That's happened, whatever it may be, and then someone recounts that tale way back ancient times and tells it but via the medium of speech, or maybe pictographs on a cave wall, and then it gets embellished and told right down through the ages. And people add things, change things, and what I find quite amazing, and this particular tale is no exception. In fact, it's one of the primary ones. This tale, based in Wales, North Wales, actually finds its roots in India. Yeah. Far distant, earlier than this. And the similar tale is told in ancient Persia. It's told throughout Europe. It's told throughout North Africa, South America. Native Americans in North America have told this tale. So, you get where I'm coming from. This thing is a cultural sort of seedbed. It's a foundation of storytelling and mythology. But there is, as I said before, these things always stem from something that happened, and then it's been embellished and embroidered as time has gone on. So, what is this story then, Kilt-Man? What is it? Stop teasing us. We've got places to go, people to see. The tale of Beg Gelert, or rather, Gelert, the brave, devotional, courageous dog, Gelert. We're going back to, I think it's about the 11th century, maybe the 12th century. So we're talking like, you're coming out the Dark Ages, you're entering the medieval age. You have King John there in England. But in Wales, you've got Prince Llewellyn, or rather Llewellyn the Great. Now, King John is real. Llewellyn the Great is real. Llewellyn was a warlord in northern Wales. Gwynedd and Snowdonia and Carnarvonshire. Carnarvon now, but Carnarvonshire. And he had many buddies, noblemen, this, that and the other, in his purse strings. And he would wage war against the English, and who can blame him, but he also made allegiances with King John, and he ended up marrying King John's only actual daughter from his own bloodline. He had other siblings, but they were not from his seed. And Joan, and she became Joan of Wales. But Llewellyn the Great, warlord that he was a great hunter as well. Now, in his castle, he went hunting with his dogs, all of his dogs, lots of hunting dogs. But he had a particular favourite dog, which was so loyal and devotional to him. And that dog was called Gelert. Now, Gelert, some would say it's named after a saint, a missionary, what you want to call them, called Gelert, a Celtic religious wise man, Gelert. But that's what they say. And on this particular day, I'm going hunting. Joan, I'll be back later. Put the kettle on, at 6 bells. But I'm out with the lads, and I'm out with the dogs. And he got his hunting horn, and he called all his dogs to him. And all his dogs came forth, except for, you guessed it, Gelert didn't come forward. So, hang on, where's Gelert? That distressed him. His most loyal and trusted devotional dog, the best in the business, didn't come forward. Where the hell's my dog? Now, if it was you or me, we'd be like, I'm not going nowhere until my best friend is here. So I'm going to go and find him and bring him out. Well, Llewellyn didn't seem to have done that. No. Off he goes, albeit a bit reluctantly. They go out hunting. Successful. Maybe not as successful as had Gelert been with them. He comes back home. The door's open, to his castle, his province, his realm. And he goes in there. He had left his son, real life, his son and heir to Prince Llewellyn, or Llewellyn the Great, was David. and the crib, the cot, is overturned. There is his dog Gelert. Where the hell were you before? Gelert is there with blood all the way around his snout, on his teeth. He's soaked in gore. The crib is in disarray. No sign of David. Llewellyn. Oh my God. Gelert, what have you done? You tell me you didn't. You didn't. And Gelert's there, tongue hanging out, blood and gore everywhere. No sign of the burn. He draws his sword. You've devoured my son, my only son and heir. How pierces Gelert's heart, and the dog's dying shriek ignites the crying of his son David, who is lying underneath the wreckage of the crib. And Llewellyn sees this whilst holding his dying dog, sees his son alive and well, and then behind him in the wreckage sees the beaten, bloodied remains of a ferocious wolf that had obviously come in to attack the baby. And Gelert had saved the baby and killed the wolf, and now Llewellyn has stabbed through his devoted best friend. The despair, the heartbreak. Legend has it that Llewellyn then picks up his dead dog and walks out into the grounds outside his castle and buries his dog outside, so everyone can come to it. And a cairn of rocks is established there, which he does. And legend says that that Llewellyn never again smiled. Never. Couldn't do it. He killed his own dog, and his own dog, who had defended and fought valiantly to save his son, and then he comes home and kills his beloved dog, who was only doing his devotional duty. Now, that's the legend, that's what happened, that's the story. And if you're expecting more, there isn't a great deal more to the story, or is there? Because there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. So, Prince Llewellyn the Great existed. He was genuine. He married Joan, King John's daughter, and after like years and years of turmoil with other barons and warlords in Wales, I mean, Llewellyn was he was the supreme warlord of Wales. He owned most of Wales, and then there would be further troubles with the English. You know, quelle surprise. And I say quelle surprise, that's French, because the English and the French had a hell of a lot of troubles as well. But Llewellyn was part of the mob that kind of forced the hand of King John to sign the Magna Carta. Yes, it's all historically accurate. All of that is true. And his son David became his heir, who became another warrior warlord. Not quite as well known and renowned and revered as Llewellyn, but you know, in his own right. Little town, well, a village, a hamlet. It's not even that. It's just a little enclave in northern Wales, in the lee of Snowdonia. Now, Wales, for you guys, you're all over the world. I know this. A lot of you around here, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But right, direction-wise, right behind you, where you are sitting now looking at me, right behind you is the River Mersey. And beyond that is Liverpool and Merseyside. Beyond that is Lancashire, Cumbria, Carlisle, and then, oh, a bit further up, Scotland, you know. And that way, to your, hang on, what would it be? To your 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock is the Isle of Man and Northern Ireland. And then Eire is all down this neck of the woods here. Now, if you go and look to this chunk here, that way over there is Wales. Now, we look out from the battlements of Kilt Mansion and we see the mountains of Snowdonia all the time. White-capped most of the time. Snowdonia. It's a wonderful part of the world. Beautiful, And you go out to the coast, and North Wales is huge. It's got mountains, it's got rivers, and the coastline is spectacular. It's rugged, it's windswept, it's beautiful. So, you have a tiny little hamlet, which was not named at all. And remember, the dog's name was Gelert. So the legend has it a cairn of stones was erected by Llewellyn the Great to commemorate his valiant dog that he destroyed stupidly, in a mistaken fit of rage. Only when they worked it out, the cairn of stones they're only 200 years old. Or a bit more than that, to be honest. And what it is, a fella called David Pritchard had moved into this little area, and the Royal Goat Hotel, or the Royal Goat Inn, he took over that place. And he thought, hang on, I've heard this story about Prince Llewellyn the Great and the dog Gelert, and it's meant to be round this neck of the woods, isn't it? Light bulb moment, or the light bulb was weren't invented at that stage. Bing! Light bulb goes on. I can bring tourists here in a really great old-fashioned but forward-thinking plan of marketing and branding. He went, let's call this little hamlet Bed Gelert. Now, Bed Gelert means the grave of Gelert. Now, as my mate Mike, SAS Mike, said, like, it's pronounced Beth, No, they called it Beth. I don't know, he's from Bradford, I gave him a Scottish accent now. But yeah, it's pronounced Beth, I was like, yeah, I know that, I've heard that as well. Like, but a lot of Welsh terms and towns and places, the anglicised version of what it's meant to say, what it's meant to be read as and vocalised as, we don't do it. And the Welsh, have sadly had to put up with it. So in Wales, you go to Wales and you've got road signs. Once you go into Wales, from every which way, English road sign, but the first and most prominent is Welsh. It's Welsh! Then you got English. And that's right the way around Wales. And what's wrong with that? It's their country, so promote their language, their lingo. So it's pronounced Beth Gelert, but it still means the grave of Gelert, Gelert being the dog. Now, David Pritchard just thought, like, hang on, we can make some money out of this. Let's promote this story, and we're going to change. I'm not even sure that the hamlet had a name beforehand, but we're going to call our town Bed Gelert, the grave of Gelert. Let's do it, or Beth Gelert if you want that. So he erects a cairn of stones, which is still there, of course. They are fenced in. It's lovely. You can go, and I urge you to go and see it. And when you get there, the cairn of stones is there, and in front of it are two slate slabs. And again, in cahoots with the way that street signs and all directions are done in Wales, you've got one. The primary one is in Welsh. It tells the legend of Gelert the dog and Prince Llewellyn on one of these big slate slabs, and on the other it's in English, written in English. So they're long, these things, and they're just planted there, and it tells you the legend. Beautiful, a very idyllic little town, little village. Now, if you go a little, I would urge you to do this. If you go a little further along the track, because there is a path, you have a river running beside you, which meets another river as well. And you can walk along. It's not too far beyond that, and you reach what looks like the ruins of an ancient farmhouse, but with the roof removed. And you've got like the stone enclosure. And as you walk into that open gateway to the enclosure, there is a great stone dog standing there, standing guard, and it is a statue of Gelert. Now, that wasn't done back in the day. That was done way afterwards. But that cairn of stones and the two slate legends was done by, David Pritchard. And from the royal goat. Clever. And the royal goat and other parts of this little enclave of Beg Gelert now were used in the film The Inn of the Sixth Happiness. So it's actually been used filmically as well. And to this day, it gets absolutely, I was going to use the term gazillions. It probably isn't that at all, but it gets a hell of a lot of tourist trade. That, all this part of North Wales is picturesque, beautiful. You've got the mountains, you've got the coastline, you've got lovely little rural areas, you've got Carnarvon Castle, you've got Conway Castle, you've got lots and lots going on. And Llewellyn had Conway as well, but Gwynedd was his major province. But then he got more and more, and he brought more from England. It was English, but then he brought it into Wales. And then, of course, things changed, and the border changed, and they lost bits more of Wales. And there was infighting and what have you. That's the historical truth behind the thing. So you can go and visit this place. You can go and see the cairn of stones. You can go and see the statue of Gelert. And when I was a kid, we went to North Wales a lot. It's just as a air miles, straight line, but it's literally 3 to 5 miles away. That's all it is. It's all it is. And then you're in Wales, North Wales, but you've got to drive around it. You've got to drive all the way down to Chester or Wrexham, and you've got to go right around the Wirral Peninsula, and you're adding a hell of a lot of mileage when it's just over there, And you can see it, you can taste it, you can smell it, you can hear it. You can hear them saying, "Lamfa gogla gogla gogla," and all that kind of stuff. Like, Welsh is a very, very guttural and also nasal. You've got the glockenspiel. Your esophagus works overtime, but you've got a lot of nasal stuff going on as well, and it's all gog 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 off. Gog gog gog. It sounds aggressive. Gog off. You tell me to fuck off. No, boy, I'm telling you that you didn't. I can't help but go into Scottish every time. I simply can't do accents. I simply cannot. Can you do them? But you can go there, and it's wonderful. As I said before, this story is based on many other folk tales from around the world. The real one that they try to base it on primarily is from India, and it's a tale of a mongoose and a black snake. And the mongoose is actually it's a bizarre story. It is. You have a married couple. You have mum, you have dad, you have babykins, and not only have they have a baby son, but they have a mongoose which grows up alongside the baby, and the mother, this is the story, the mother actually feeds the mongoose whilst feeding the child from one breast, feeds the mongoose from the other one. One day, the child's in like the cot, the crib, and she says to the dad, fellas are useless, aren't they? She's like, all you got to do, I'm going to get some water down the stream, get some water. You stay here, watch the babies. She means the baby son and the mongoose. You stay here. Don't go anywhere. Know what you like. You're not going to the pub. And off she goes. But the father thinks, no, we're starving. So he goes out with his begging bowl. I mean, you can't knock him. If he has to go out with a begging bowl, then they're not doing so well, are they? So it's not like, screw the kids, I'm hungry, I'll off and go. But he does. In the meantime, a black snake crawls into the abode and goes for the baby, and the mongoose, who legend has it, sees the baby as its genuine brother. So it goes for the mongoose and rips it, tears it apart. Mum was coming back from the stream, carrying some pails of water, and the mongoose runs out to say, look, I've just saved my brother, your son, from a big black snake. Look, and it's covered in gore. She drops these things and immediately thinks, yeah, you know where we're going with this. You've killed the baby. So I think she swings one of the pails of water, bang, and smashes its head in and kills it. goes home, discovers the baby's fine. There's a snake ripped up. Oh no! And then Daddy-O comes home. His begging bowl is now full of rice and leaves and, you know, chapatis and things like that. and she's like, your greed has killed my baby. She's still got the kid, the human kid, but the mongoose, which has done its best to save, well, and successfully saved the child from the snake. But your greed, you didn't listen to me. So it's these are like trials by fire. They are learning stories. They are foundation stones. They're morals. And you get this story told, as I say, in Persia and in Africa, and there's lions, tigers and bears, oh my, all become either the aggressor or the one who's looking after, you know, the baby. But in Europe, and certainly in Britain, it was a dog or a wolf. Vikings tell the same story, the Danes, the Saxons, Romans tell the same story as well. But the one that became the most celebrated is Prince Llewellyn the Great and Gelert the dog. Now, what kind of dog would Gelert be? Well, you had Irish wolfhounds, you had English wolfhounds. Where did they come from? Right, well, the Vikings brought their, I forgot the breed they brought over, but they were monstrous big wolfhounds. Again, what's the term wolfhound? It's a dog-wolf hybrid. It's a mix, it's a crossbreed. And these things are great, and they're hunting dogs. And they've existed for, you know, millennia, these things. So these warring barbarians, these raiders, come in, bring their animals, and then they breed with the local animals here. So whatever the dog that Prince Llewellyn had, and Prince Llewellyn existed, he would have had hunting dogs. He was a renowned hunter, so he had a pack of hunting dogs. Yeah, so that is all true, and those dogs would have been pretty bloody, you know, substantial. Back in that time, Britain, not just England, Britain, Wales, Scotland, Ireland as well, Eire, the entire island of Ireland was forested. I've said this before many times. Densely forested. You couldn't go near it. It wasn't mapped out. There was no motorways. There was dirt tracks, cart trails. There were Roman roads as well. But on either side would be thick canopies of woodland. And inside that woodland, you had wolves. Now, going back several centuries beforehand, in fact, you have to go back even further than that, we had bears in the British Isles. Bears were here as well, but they were wiped out. They just went extinct. The weather changed, and they ceased to be. But wolves were prevalent during all the primitive man, and then the Dark Ages, and in the medieval age. They were there. They were prevalent. So all that is true. His son is true, what become Prince David, you know, and but the story itself, as I say, I think there's a germ, a grain of truth to this. He goes hunting, but you got to analyze this. My favourite dog, you know, Gelert. Where's Gelert? He does the and all the dogs, all the other dogs, the mutts, you know, you're second, you're third, you're a piece of shit. You got to earn your bowl of water later on tonight, you know. And they all turn up, but where's Gelert? And he goes off reluctantly, as the legend tells us, reluctantly. Sort of, where's Gelert? Well, if that was you or me, I'd be like, no, you lot are great, but I want my prize dog. I want my best mate to be here. So I'm going to go and find him. Does he go and find him? No, doesn't. But why doesn't Gelert turn up? Does Gelert have a premonition of what's about to happen? No, no, listen, Dad, I'm going to lie back under the shrubberies and lie in wait. I think there's danger coming. So you're going to do what you do. I can't tell you. You don't. I speak dog Welsh, you know, and you don't understand the word I'm saying. So, you know, you go off, do your hunting. I'll protect the bairn. Don't you worry, Daddy-O. I'm staying here. And then of course shit does happen, and he does his deed. And then like, Dad, look, I saved him. And then Dad put the sword down, Dad. No, Dad. Oh dear. Where's Mum throughout this? Where's the servants throughout this? There was no castle there. So the castle of Prince Llewellyn the Great, it wouldn't have been a castle. It may have been a fortified stronghold, a village, but it weren't there. It's David Pritchard that moved into the area and heard about, well, hang on, that Prince Llewellyn used to be here, didn't he? What was that story that used to be told about him and his dog and about a wolf and all that? Hang on, we can maximise on this. There was no castle. He didn't have a castle where Gelert or Beth Gelert now sits. That little province there was no castle there. But where was Mum throughout all this? You know, Princess Joan of Wales, or Joan of Wales as she became known. Well, where was she? Where were the servants? If he was a prince, or the warlord of Wales, where's his people? There should have been someone looking at. He's not going to go out and leave his kid alone, surely to God. There should be someone there to look at him, not just, the dog's going like, oh Christ, everyone's just frigged off. Well, it's down to me, isn't it? I can smell a wolf here. There's trouble, and you lot have just frigged off. Didn't listen to me, did you? Well, I'm going to sit here loyally and look after this howling sack of offal and dirty nappies. I go outside and do my business. You just do it all over the fucking place. And it's tragic beyond belief. So where was Joan? I don't know. It doesn't figure in the legend at all. The truth of it is, Prince Llewellyn existed, Joan existed, his son David existed. He was there at the time when this story was supposed to be, happened, So, what's it about then? Well, all of these sagas and legends and myths have a sort of, they try to teach you something. What might it be, Kilt-Man? Well, in this case, for me, it's kind of fairly obvious. It's, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't assume things. Just because your dog's face is covered in gore, don't assume you've just lost your child to its ravenous jaws. It could have been saving the child. But we all do this. We all do jump to conclusions. When we do judge books by their covers. We do. Don't say you don't, because we're all guilty of it. I know I certainly am. And I will sweat blood, tears, piss and poison that you guys have all been guilty of this as well. But this legend tells us that no matter what the evidence, no matter how things look beyond that and look at the evidence, look what's actually happened. Think before you leap, before you strike someone or something down. Think first. And I find it a really incredibly emotional story because, I'm a dog lover, and having just lost my precious Roxy as well, but having lost other dogs before, and I understand this, but it's because we were talking about it in the pub, because Sandy, the barmaid, had been there, and I thought, oh, there, and thus the germ of this little random series of videos suddenly took root. When I was a kid, we went to North Wales a hell of a lot, as I say, because it's just a stone's throw away. So I was the youngest by far of my family, 2 brothers and sisters who are all way older than me. So by the time I came along, they were pretty much leaving home and doing their own careers and that, like. So I was kind of brought up as an only child. So we had a lot of holidays together, me and my mum and dad. It was great. And went to North Wales a lot. It pissed down almost incessantly. We went to Bed Gelert. We did a great, I remember it all too vividly actually. Morpher Buchan had a big American Civil War reenactment on. and that blew me away. I mean, my father, big kilt papa, was a huge military historian, and embedded in me a love of the military and military history in particular. So we saw this reenactment, and it was pretty spectacular. I remember it. It was like all the powder puff, boom, 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 you know, muzzle loaders and all that kind of stuff was going off, and it was great. And blues and the greys were fighting, and it was quite feisty as well in these fields by Morpher Buchan. And you got Betsy Coward just further down, and but on the way back, when you come back through, you've got Ben Gelert, and we called in there, and I was confronted by this story, this legend, and it blew me away. I thought, oh God, because we had dogs, and I was like, oh my, it's so sad, so tragic. And I used to wear, when back then, a little denim jacket, a little rogue strutting about, you know. But I had big mad curly Annie style Ronald McDonald hair and my denim jacket. And my dad always got me like patches to put on it. And they were, believe it or not, a lot of them were American sheriff's badges. So the big shields, you know, and they were quite large. Arizona and Nevada, you know, and all these different places, and all over my jacket and all that, and sergeant stripes on the sleeves. And in Ben Gelert, the little tourist shop, and they had a patch, a really, literally, you know, about yay big, like that big there, you know, and it was super colourful, a round patch, and it had it embroidered, stitched, gorgeous, and it depicted Llewellyn stabbing his dog, and his dog, and the sword piercing his chest, his heart. And in the background, you can see wreckage of it looks like a cottage. You can see wreckage everywhere, but you can see the baby under the cot like that, leaning out, and the dead wolf behind the baby. And once I knew the story, oh God, it broke my heart. And I used to sit, before my mum stitched it onto my jacket, I used to sit and stare at this patch, and the story came to life, and wow. So my love of dogs, is because I love dogs, and I grew up with dogs. But it gained enormous vigour and strength because of this story. And I'd sit and stare at this potent image, and then my mum stitched it onto me denim jacket, found a place to put it on, and I would proudly walk around, you know, look at this, and I'd tell the story to my friends and all that. And when I took the jacket off, I'd sit and stare at this patch again, like, because it evoked so much. And my dad told me many stories. I learned so much, I studied so much, but you know, about wars and battles and all sorts of things, and heroism and massacres and all that, you know, the things a growing boy needs. But that tale of Ben Gelert, it took over. I'd be like 5, 6, 7 years old. It really took root in me and bothered me. It still bothers me today. And like the fact that Sandy was talking about it, and she didn't know what the story was, and it's well, I can tell you about this, you know. And if you go there, because you said that there was the statue of a dog, but there was wicker versions of the dog in other parts of the little of Ben Gelert, or Beth Gelert, which obviously local kids have done and put together, which is beautiful. So I think the point really is that if a legend isn't true, but it has importance and meaning, then it may as well be true, because its import, its impact, its resonance within us, within our souls, within our cultures. And that's obviously a unified culture, because this goes across the world. Absolutely, you know, pan-cultural zeitgeist. It covers everybody. Every religion has got this story in there somehow, in some way or other. whether it's a mongoose and a snake, or it's a bear and an ocelot, or a frog and a llama. It's whatever it may be, the story remains the same. That original Indian one was about greed. She blames the husband, like, oh, you because you were greedy, you wanted more food, you went out there and you left the baby to be struck by a snake, and the mongoose, my other child, it's bizarre, isn't it, to save him, and I bloody killed the mongoose, but it's your fault. So that's avarice, that's greed. But the Beg Gelert story of Llewellyn is massively the other way around. It's like, I love my child, but how could you do this? I trusted you and you killed my child. And in a fit of rage, because you've jumped the gun, you've misread the signs, you've just leapt to a conclusion. You've judged a book by its cover and been completely wrong. I like that. And I said before, we're all guilty of doing that. So there are lessons here. And I think this is the thing about legends and myths and folklore, is that they tell us something. They may be like, oh, that's a quaint old tale, isn't it? But if you boil it down, you burn it on down, what's left? That grain of truth, that last little residue, is what possibly really happened, and is a bloody good reason why it's been told again and again and again and again, albeit embellished as time goes on. And who knows, maybe I even embellished this one. No, I didn't. There are other versions of the actual Beg Gelert story. Oh, there's loads of other versions. There's other people that get involved in it, but don't look at those. They're just clouding things. The story is very basic. It's very simple. Daddy-o goes off hunting. His dog stays behind, looks after the baby. Dad comes home, finds dog covered in gore, can't find the baby, assumes dog has done the worst, kills the dog in a peak of rage and anger, and then finds out, oh no, the blood is actually from a wolf the dog killed defending the baby. Oh shit. Oh shit, not a good day. Not a good day at all. But I do love it. So I would urge any of you that can, get to North Wales and see Beg Gelert and Snowdonia. And there isn't just all that. There's plenty more in Wales to go and see. Plenty more. And I'm sure if we get around to any more further versions of Kilty's Tales from the Campfire, we'll get around to some more of those as well. But I would urge you to go. And that there is a very strong feeling, even though it's been brought about by a very a Dragon's Den entrepreneur. Oh, I've got this hotel and this tavern here. I need to bring more people in here. Remember that story? Remember that? It was a wee while ago. Yeah. Think about the guy with the dog, and they're going, yeah. And you got the guy who brings the post. Stagecoach, going back in the Wild West now, the coach coming through, wherever you go, all your stops on, the people you're ferrying around, you just tell them that they come to Beg Gelert and they can come and see the grave of Gelert the brave dog. Oh, I'll do that, yeah, there might be a shekel in it, or a wee tankard of ale for you as well if you do that. And you can see the marketing was absolutely extraordinarily brilliant. Way ahead of its time, and it worked because tourists pile on in there. A lot of Americans love it as well, because obviously Americans love anything historical, because we've got a lot more history than you guys have out there in America, and you know how much I love American history. You know how much. And there's the irony for you. The same time I encountered the story of Gelert the dog was when I watched a big live recreation of Battle of Gettysburg. Just down the road, with a bunch of Welsh ruffians dressed in blue and grey and charging each other with powder puff, gunfire and stuff, and it was great. I really enjoyed that as well. Cheers, y'all. To go along with folklore and mythology, I'm playing the soundtrack to the Green Knight, with Dev Patel playing the Green Knight, Sir Gawain, or now we know it's pronounced Gawain, and it's Welsh. A lot of the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur, it's Welsh, very Welsh. And I've discussed this movie and the story of the Green Knight, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, before. Believe it or not, I add this in right now. Again, they're legends, they're sagas, they're stories, they're myths, but they all have a meaning to them. And all the ones about the Knights of the Round Table, it's about finding your inner strength, who you really are, what you believe in. Can you find the fortitude, the strength of character, the integrity to commit to a mission, to do your duty, to do the right thing, and look after others who can't take care of themselves? Chivalry, that's what it's all about. Never actually happened, by the way, but but it's an ideal many of us, including myself, will strive to live towards. I'll always help other people, always if I can. But I'm flawed. I'm incredibly badly flawed, and I've done some really, really bad things. But only to those who deserved it. But who's to judge? And it's what it's all about. So the Green Knight, again, with North Wales, he's challenged by the Green Knight. You've got to come and meet me, and I'm going to take your head off, But you've got to come to my realm, my kingdom. Well, if you read all the source material for, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and the saga of the Green Knight, where does Sir Gawain go? He travels through densely forested Wales, and he crosses the River Dee, which is just over there, right? It's marshland primarily, and back in the day you probably could have found a way to cross it, but he fords it anyway. And where does he find the Green Knight and the Green Knight's kingdom? And I've done a video on this before. It's right here. It's right where I am sitting, and I am not making that up. He crosses the River Dee into the Wirral, the way it's written in oldie English, Wirral, the Wirral Peninsula, which is the great big, if you don't know the British Isles, you've got Wales, you've got the Britain, and you've got Ireland here. I'm doing it the way I'm looking at it, but it's probably the way around. So Ireland will be there, British Isles is here, and you've got Scotland's up here, and you've got a little hard-on, literally a big hard-on of land sticking up nice and erect, comes out just above Wales and just before Merseyside and Cumbria and the lakes and all that, and that's the Wirral Peninsula, surrounded by water on three sides, peninsula. And the Kilted realm, the Kilt Mansion, resides at the northwestern tip of that. Not right at the tip, but we're on the high point of land, so you've got beaches and you've got all the way around, but it rises, the fire rises, as Bane would say. And we're at the top, so we overlook, Liverpool behind you guys, Irish Sea, Isle of Man's out there, Wales, all the way around here, and we can see all of it with the highest point. And this is where, Rosemary Sutcliffe and many other writers of King Arthur, and who pored over ancient maps and how this could possibly work and come together. Sir Gawain, if you will, journey through Wales and all the encounters he had on the way there, across the River Dee, finds the Green Knight in his realm on the Wirral here. I love it. I think it's great. Of course, the British Isles is no longer so forested. You've got to struggle to find a green belt anywhere now. I mean, I've got a couple of green belts, but they don't suit me. I don't suit green, unless it's camouflage. But it's right here. Myths, legends, and they're so much better if you can go to the place or find yourself in the place where it's meant to have happened. generations, centuries go by, people tell the tale, they build plaques and statues and stuff to make it even more authentic. Doesn't mean it actually happened, but what it does do though, it puts it, you've got something tangible, a statue, a plaque. Oh, it happened there in that castle there, and blah de blah. Then you've got something you can look at and like feel and read. Wow, it happened here. Even if it says it's a myth, but in your head that becomes solid. Not so much, this really happened, but the idea and the emotion and the integrity behind these stories suddenly becomes really, really important. They should do. Stories, fiction, whatever, they tell us things, and stuff, certainly from the ancient times, just gets reinvented again and again. I mean, you could have anything. You could have Odysseus, and you could have Jason Statham playing him now. In Homer's Odyssey, you could have Statham play. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And we've got not one but two. Christopher Nolan is doing Batman. There's Bane again. Is doing the Odyssey or Odysseus' Return, and you've got Ralph Fiennes. It's out now, called The Return, telling the story of Odysseus again. It's myth. It's Homer's Odyssey. It's a myth. It didn't happen, but it doesn't matter. These are events and stories which have conflict, have of internal conflict, physical swords and all sorts of stuff going on. Barbaric things, but it's about integrity and like doing the right thing, finding morals, finding the right justification in doing what you do, and making noble sacrifices. And this is what you're going to find time and time and time again. So whether it happened or it didn't happen is kind of largely irrelevant. It's what the importance of what it's telling you, and that gets transmuted throughout the ages, and it becomes, with each successive telling or interpretation, it becomes more solidified in reality. So you get movies, books, plays, TV shows, you get all sorts which just embellish it but make it even more important. So Gelert, Bed Gelert, meaning the grave of Gelert. Bed, but pronounced Beth, and also means bed, literally bed, the resting place, so a grave of Gelert. I wish I had that little denim jacket. I really do. I don't know what happened to it. I really have no idea where that went. I kept so many things from my childhood, but that didn't survive. That's gone into myth and legend now. But it had all these great patches and the sergeant stripes on it as well. My dad did not like American Armed Forces. I don't know, I've discussed it before. Although I've served with them, so I know I do admire them. I think they're great, switched on, motivated guys. Movies portray them in a much different light, but they are really great proper soldiers, and can do the job. Although we could outrun them any fucking day of the week. Marines, and but that jacket had all these different patches, and they were big, especially on a little kid's denim jacket. And I was in little shorts. I still have a little short ass. And but these patches were huge. These sheriff's badges, usually very yellow, very yellow and bright. But the Bed Gelert one, oh god, that took a pride of place. And I would just sit and I would stare at that, and I'd see even its depiction, the tragedy, and you could see he's piercing the dog's heart with his sword, running it through. But you can see, in my imagination, you could see his realization that, oh no, I've killed my best friend, I've done the world's worst thing, I'm such a fucking Welsh doofus, And the dog's like, and it's rearing up, oh god, a wolfhound type of animal. And in the background, you've got the wolf's lying there with blood coming out, and the baby's all cherubic going like, dead wolf, oh you killed my dog, You killed Gelert. You evil daddy. I'm going to phone Childline. This is abuse. What is abuse right now? It's the fucking washing machine fucking going around right now. But I have no respect in this house, you know. Cheers, y'all. So this is like interactive to a degree. You guys can comment below and let me know about little myths and legends that you might want me to talk about, or stuff that I might not know about. And by the way, I know a fucking hell of a lot. I could do one of these videos every single day until hell freezes over. I could, but I'd like to know stuff that maybe I haven't heard of. So something from your neck of the woods, wherever you are in the world, there's gonna be something, a haunted house, just something happened on this highway. Dogman, you got all this. The gold mine, which came back from like Brigadoon. You got all this sort of stuff as well. There's tons and tons of stuff you could tell me about. So please do, and I will endeavour to give them some airtime, you know, because as I've been banging on about, these things I think are very important. Stories are important. It's what you learn from stories. There's always this one in particular. There's a moral there. There's an idea there. There's it's a cautionary tale. Don't assume straight away that what you can see is what's really happened. We've all done this. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. You know. See, all these things tie in, and you wonder what do these things mean? Well, there you go. This is the perfect encapsulation of like don't judge a book by its cover, because you're going to be, more often than not, you're probably going to be wrong, you know. But we'll see, folks. And my tea has gone stone cold. Washing machine is now finished. It's going to start beeping in a second, but I thought I'd play some folky, weird stuff. So you got two legends there. You got the Green Knight, and you got the tale of brave Gelert. Ah, oh, dear God! How heartbreaking is that, though? There will be people that have done something similar in reality. I absolutely, totally, 100% believe that. Washing machine's over. I totally 100% believe that there'll be people that have gone through some, even in modern day, and like, oh my God, you know, assume the worst, shot their own dog, or shot a loved one, another human maybe, assuming the worst, and not asking the right questions, and not doing a bit more, just 3 seconds more of like looking around, bit of hope, but slight bit of more homework, and everything will be okay. But no, you're going to have done the worst possible thing because you acted on absolute gut level instinct. It's not always the best way. Not always. It often is. Gut level instinct can save your life, but it can also be an Achilles heel. So we'll discuss far more. Folks, I have been on with Shabby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, and it's ever like, let's go and explore North Wales in between time. Please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all in a tavern, surrounded by wolves and dogs and swords and knights and people called David and Llewellyn. But yeah, don't forget, let me know, please, because there's been many, many more tales, folk stories and legends. You people are all around the world. I will not know some of your local stuff. I will not know that. I know pretty everything from around here. Or do I? We'll find out, shall we? So, mind how you go. Look after your dogs, because they look after you and your kids. So put your sword away, alright? And I missed the button there, didn't I?